Good evening. I'm Meg Nichols, the 23rd Regent of the Mount Vernon Ladies Association. I am honored to head the association board of 22 dynamic women from across the nation, serving as vice regents and custodians of the home of George Washington. Long before the campaign for women's rights and decades before the heyday of the environmental movement, the Mount Vernon Ladies Association was breaking new ground in both these areas. But the formation of the association was much more than a chapter in women's history, or the first step toward the rescue of America's most important historic home. It marked the emergence of the national preservation movement. It took the bold leadership of Anne Pamela Cunningham to establish the Mount Vernon Ladies Association in 1853. She made up her mind that the home which George Washington loved would not be allowed to crumble in ruin. And much like George Washington, Anne Pamela Cunningham had a knack of picking talented and dynamic women to assist her. Together, the first 22 women of the newly formed Mount Vernon Ladies Association rallied the nation and raised the $200,000 that John Augustine Washington III, then owner of Mount Vernon, demanded for the property. Ms. Cunningham insisted that everything merited saving and kept the many ancillary outbuildings on the estate for later restoration. This inclusive approach to historic places would evolve into the guiding principles of our national preservation movement. This progressive approach to preservation includes the Mount Vernon Ladies Association far-sighted work started in the 1950s to preserve George Washington's beloved Potomac River view. Over the years, against the threat of oil refineries, sanitation plants, commercial development, and even water contamination, the association continues its conservation efforts, working with our many public and private partners to ensure Washington's view remains largely unchanged. The association's mission of preservation and education continues to thrive and expand through the library, scholarly research, and efforts. This research has contributed immeasurably to the country's knowledge of George Washington, life at Mount Vernon, and of the enslaved community whose lives were entwined with the Washingtons and Mount Vernon. Our work is truly never finished, and such is the nature of preservation and education. As America's first historic preservation organization, the Mount Vernon Ladies Association and its continuous succession of remarkable women who have owned and operated Mount Vernon for over 160 years without interruption. The association is a private organization that does not accept government funding. We depend on generous individuals, organizations, foundations, and corporations to help support the preservation and restoration of Mount Vernon and our long-standing educational programs. The Mount Vernon Ladies Association is proud of its accomplishments and of its heritage as preservation pioneers. It is fitting that the beloved home of the man who was first in war, first in peace, and first in the hearts of his countrymen was saved from ruin by a group of undeterred women who were first in historic preservation.